Hi, welcome back to Blooming Horizons.
Hello.
Hey, we're going to jump right into it.
Mm-hmm. So today we're talking about the care and feeding of you, right there, you. We're wanting you to make some space for you in your own life so that you can feel good. We've been talking in this series about coming through and out of burnout and some steps. We talked about journaling. But today, the care and feeding of you, talking about movement, moving your body. What are you putting in your body? Food and beverage. Let me see, some books and media.
Oh, that's my part. I'm excited about that.
Me too. I had a stack, which I didn't bring with me. But what are you putting in your mind? Like feeding your mind, your body, and your soul. And then also, how do you know when you're kind of falling off the wagon? Some checklists and benchmarks for you. So the care and feeding
That's
of
a
you.
lot.
It
Let's
is.
get it.
So we're going to get to it. Okay. Well, okay, since I already have the floor, I'll start this. The first thing is to know if you're in burnout or if you are kind of falling under your red line for being well cared for or being in a good state of well-being. So I like to start with a checklist. If I find myself in low energy, I start checking my food. What have I been eating? Have I been eating lots of crackers and snacks? Have I had enough water? My fruits and vegetables and proteins. I may need to add some supplements, some GABA, some L-theanine, ashwagandha, magnesium, all the things to kind of get you back up the level. So that's what I do, just to kind of get out of that, rut. And then we kind of gets individualized as far as what we do to feel good. I like to walk. I like to journal, and that's where I start.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. I don't know.
Care and feeding. Yeah, I try to really be consistent with my daily supplements, medicine. There's been seasons where I've had a prescription. Just trying to set alarms, reminders, set it out, buy cute little pill cases, anything to kind of keep me engaged in that process, so I don't hit those where you're like, why do I feel like this? And you're like, oh, I haven't taken my vitamins for the past 4 days. Yes, and then just trying. This is my current hill that I'm trying to overcome, but just moving my body once a day, something, whatever that looks like, and just finding those things that kind of lift your spirit.
Yeah.
What about you?
All the things you said. I mean, you hit them all. For me, my challenge is moving my body. I didn't really grow up in a household that after dinner, let's go for a walk. That was not a thing. So it's a habit that I would like to create for my children so that it'll just be a natural thing that they do. At this point, talking with my therapist, anything that you're choosing to do, starting those medicines or the walking or changing your diet a little bit or whatever that is. I talked earlier about it. It's about that cycle of change. Be gentle with yourself. If you are starting something, know that you're going to fail at it. The goal is to fail forward. Okay, we're going to fail forward. That means there's forward progress. And so, no, even though I didn't do the 4 walks this week that I said I was going to do, that's okay. There is another week coming. It's not it is done. And I've been there where I'm like, well, I didn't do it, so I guess it's done. Well, no, there's another week. So you go, I didn't quite meet it this time, but I'm going to set a new plan. Some things that I have done is put my shoes right beside my bed in the morning. I'm already in my workout clothes. When I go to bed, I wake up in them. And then when I stand up, all I have to do is slide those shoes on. Now I'm ready to go. There's no reason. Some other things, my therapist will check in and be like, hey, were you able to do this or that? And I'm like, oh, and she was like, hey, that's fine. Because, we're failing forward, but in the future, if you have to go to, you're dropping off everybody for donuts with dad or whatever it may be, you need to know, oh, my husband's driving. I need to make sure that I communicate with him. Hey, go ahead and drop me off at the gym or whatever it is. If your schedule is going to change that week, you have to put moving your body in that equation. You can't think about it at the end, right? If it's going to be important to you, then you need to put it way up at the top and find a way to make it work. And then you work everything else around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that makes me think about one of the resources that I have benefited from, a book, since we're rolling in books and media, is Atomic Habits by James Clear. I read through that, and he kind of brings together a lot of information about productivity and or changing, creating new habits that make sense, but it was really good to have it all in one place. And my biggest takeaway was any change you want to implement, make it ridiculously atomically, like very small.
Right.
So it's easy to accomplish, like laughable, so that every time you accomplish it, you get a dopamine, you get a good job from your brain, and then encourages you, well, let me do it again. So to your point, putting the shoes by the door, by your bed,
Right.
you could have put them by your front door and then say, I'm going to walk to the end of my driveway and back. That's my goal. I can put my shoes back off and know that I've checked it off. What you'll probably find is that you go a little bit farther, and so that's bonus,
Yeah.
right? And so you kind of cheering yourself on. So I really love that. Whatever you do it small, incrementally. And also when it comes to movement, it doesn't have to be running. It doesn't have to be a HIIT workout. It doesn't have to be anything super vigorous. You just want to move.
Yeah.
I really enjoy walking because it helps me also to process all the things that I have not said or have not thought about, that kind of have a chance just to meditate as I move my body. Or I also like yoga or Pilates because they're low impact, and it's about focusing on taking care of myself versus me meeting some kind of aerobic goal that's arbitrarily been set for me or that I feel I have to meet. So that's where I try to make sure I check in on those things.
No, that's all really good.
Yeah, that's really good. I heard something now. I don't know if it's true. It's on the TikTok. But I heard something I thought was really interesting. And I had talked to my therapist about it actually a couple weeks ago. And the saying was, if you do something for 18 minutes every day, then within after a year, you are better or more accomplished at that than 95% of everyone. I was like,
Yeah,
okay. It's about consistency.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So even if I think I've even had moments where I'm like, well, I normally need to go to the gym for an hour and 15. I only have 30 minutes. And so I just don't do anything. And that's not really failing forward, right?
Yeah.
It's more about, well, I'm just going to go home and use my light weights and find something on YouTube and do a 10-minute something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Always.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of value in just doing what you can and then moving on and being happy with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels better and it feels different.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's all really good.
Yeah.
So what books did y'all do? I'm the only one that brought a book. I just have this one.
Okay, so you go.
Okay.
Okay.
I just have one. You're good because I've got a list. Okay. So it's called Mother Hunger. Oh my goodness. It's so good. Okay. You got it? Okay. So, okay. I'm just going to read a little bit of what it says on the back. An endless ache to love and be loved. Periods of overeating or starving. A pattern of unstable mood and painful relationships. Do any of these sound familiar? And then it goes on to talk about Kelly McDonald and how she's done some studies and done all of these things and cycles of harmful behaviors, and you're unable to stop them, and how it starts with mother hunger. It says in the process, you'll understand the 3 essential elements of maternal love, which marked. I was like, ooh, which is safety, the extent to which a child is free from fear and secure from physical or psychological harm. Stability, the degree of predictability and consistency in a child's social, emotional, and physical environment. And nurturing, the extent in which children's physical, emotional, and developmental needs are sensitively and consistently met. Now, they seem simple.
They're loaded. No.
I think they seem simple in the overview. But when there is any type of abuse, neglect, that is when a lot of these things are an issue. And I learned that it doesn't start with you. There is some generational trauma that comes along with that, which was really good. I had marked something. I marked quite a few things, but it says here that I marked up, young developing children do not have the capacity to regulate emotions by themselves. They learn this from the care they receive. In essence, babies are sharing a brain with their mothers as they wait for the cognitive brain regions that govern logic and reason to develop. And I was like, oh my goodness. So you are the beginning of how they develop how to manage and regulate. That was a big one. And my therapist recommended this to me. And she was like, hey, I don't want you to think about you as a parent, because I know you could get lost in that. This is about you. So I would tell you, don't read this as a parent. It's not for that. It's for reading it as a healing for yourself. So ultimately, this was a ground shaker,
I believe
wall
it.
breaker for me.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved it. Yes, it's a more intellectual book. So you be prepared for that.
We had already kind of maybe touched on it, but I think a big coming out of burnout, the fair play.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
book,
talked about that.
Is
good.
really, that was had a lot of forward momentum, I think, to find balance and check myself. I do a lot of audiobooks.
You're a big audiobook
that
girl.
helps me. I can be doing something else while listening to the book. Sometimes I miss wanting to circle and highlight and do all of the things, but that was a big moving forward. Depending on where you are too, the subtle art of not giving up. F Word is also a great book.
Okay.
If you are coming out of your people pleasing era, that is a book that helps you kind of take back your power of not caring quite as much. The best analogy, there was a young girl and she was asking how do you balance it all? How do you make it work? And how do you do all the things? And someone a little farther down the path responded and she was like, well, I think when you're young, you just have a lot more fucks to give. So you just decide what you care about. And those are if you have children, just know the next few minutes is just going to have a lot of expletives in it. Maybe throw some headphones on. And they're so you are do I want it? And you decide if you're going to pick that fuck up or not. And you carry it with you. So you're probably walking around with a huge bag of fucks. That matter to you. And they could be anything. It could be relationships. It could be your family. It could be the color of your toenail polish. It could just be whatever you decide to put energy in.
Right.
She's but then as you get older, you hit 30 and you wake up one morning and, your knee kind of has a whoa, why does it feel like that? Or you feel a little bit in your hip or, you know what I mean? You're pregnant, whatever. And one morning you woke up and you look at that bag of fucks and you're dang, I cannot pick that up. That is heavy. So you're going to downsize, right? You're going to be you got to decide what to carry with you.
Right.
And so you're probably eventually through just getting older, you just decide I just don't want to care that much about those things. She's and this woman, she's and I'm about to be 50 and she needs to I need you to know I'm down to a good coin purse of things that I really give a fuck about, that I'm willing to put energy in and pick it up every morning and carry it with me. And so that the subtle art of not giving helps a lot in that, to just be really kind of give you some nice framework to say is that worth my energy? Do I care about that? And if you don't, then you have to look and then you maybe get you your fair playbook and then you say, hey, I don't want to pick this up. Do you care about this? And if neither of you care about that, then you got to give that to somebody else to care about.
Or you just don't give a fuck and you just throw it out.
Don't. And then you'd be that's just, we never eat on real plates, right?
No. We do not. They do not on real plates in my house.
Yeah. So that was something
not.
that you decided was not worth picking up and you got rid of it. And now it's paper plates and forks and that's just what we do. Yes. So I would say those two books together.
Blooming horizon.